Sit, Coco, sit. Good dog. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Retail Archaeology. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Petco, and we'll start with this first location here that still has the old Petco logo with the cat and dog. Petco was founded in 1965 as a mail-order veterinary supply company called Upco Ranch and Kennel Supply. It was founded by Walter Evans in Southern California. The first Upco retail store location was opened in La Mesa, California in 1976. In 1979, the company was rebranded as Petco, and the first Petco store opened in 1980 in Tigard, Oregon. By 1988, there were 40 Petco stores, and in that same year, Petco bought two other pet store chains, Well Pet Inc. and the Pet Department, which gave them a total of 130 stores. 1988 is also the year that Petco started down the path of many other companies featured on this channel. They were purchased by private equity firms the Spectrum Group Inc. and Thomas H. Lee Company in 1988, and from there they started acquiring even more pet store chains. At least one good thing happened for Petco coming out of the 80s though. In 1989, the red cat and blue dog were added to the Petco logo, and in 1991 they got names, Red Ruff the dog and Blue Muse the cat. By 1990, Petco was heavily in debt, and the Well Pet and Pet Department stores were rebranded to Petco stores. In 1994, Petco went public, and the money raised in that IPO provided capital for further expansion. From 1990 to 1995, they were opening about 20 to 50 stores a year. Unlike a lot of companies on this channel, Petco did jump into e-commerce relatively early. In 1999, they acquired 20% ownership of Petopia.com for $66 million. Shortly after that, the .com bubble burst, and by 2000, Petopia had sold most of its assets to Petco. Petco used Petopia.com's assets to create their own e-commerce site, and by 2001, they had Petopia.com redirecting to Petco.com. There was also another major event in 2000 for Petco. They were purchased in a $600 million leveraged buyout by Leonard Green & Partners and TPG Capital. $415 million of that deal was new debt added to Petco. Petco was also taken off the NASDAQ at this time, but they were taken public again in 2002. But then they were taken private again in 2006 by another leveraged buyout by Leonard Green & Partners and TPG Capital. This included assuming $120 million of Petco's debt, and the total transaction was for about $1.8 billion. By 2015, Leonard Green & Partners and TPG wanted out of the Petco business and were looking at ways to divest from it. In August of that year, they filed for another initial public offering. Also at that time, Petco and PetSmart were in talks to merge, but those talks ended due to antitrust risks. In 2016, Petco was acquired by CVC Capital Partners and the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board for $4.6 billion, and Petco withdrew their initial public offering. But by 2021, Petco held another IPO, and they changed the corporate name of the company from Petco Animal Supplies Inc. to Petco Health and Wellness Company Inc. They raised about $864 million, and CVC Capital Partners and Canada Pension Plan Investment Board retained control as majority owners. The plan was to use that $864 million raised through the IPO to start paying down some of their debt. However, that doesn't seem to have helped enough because as of today, Petco is under more water than these fish. They currently carry $2.94 billion in debt. In 2023, there started to be reports that Petco is at risk of filing for bankruptcy, however, that has not happened yet. Their most recent financial reports show that second quarter net sales for them were down 2.3%, and comparable sales were down 1.4%. Now, those don't sound like huge numbers to be down, but when you're in as much debt as Petco is in, even the slightest drop of revenue can start causing huge problems. Petco has recognized that they have a problem though. They currently have 1,388 stores, and they just recently announced that they plan to close 25 underperforming stores this year, which is the same number of stores that they closed in the previous year. In this store closure announcement, they said that they have been accelerating initiatives to strengthen our operating model. Translating from corporate speak to English, what that means is they're no longer growing, they're in a lot of debt, and they have a problem. Now that we're up to speed on how Petco got to where they're at now, I want to take a closer look at the actual stores, specifically the critters. For me, stores like Petco and PetSmart have all kind of had one generic name, and that's the free zoo. Whenever I do run into a Petco just to grab a couple of things, I always wind up spending a lot more time there than I expect because I have to go check out all of the animals. It's not every day that you get to see a chameleon with the little grabby hands. I always like looking at the birds as well. The birds always seem to be the least bothered about being in a pet store. They all just look happy to be hanging out together. The skinny pig, on the other hand, looked like it had had enough of people's crap for the day. So let's leave it alone and go take a look at our second Petco location. Here we are at our second Petco location. Can you see it? Now can you see it? These trees along the main drive into the shopping center block the Petco all the way from the street. You really can't see the Petco until you're all the way in the front of the shopping center. If I was Petco, I'd be really annoyed about that. Right when I walked in, I saw this clearance table, so I had to pick through it. Here's some Meowajuana, some of Santa's secret stash, and this is obviously from Christmas, but we're all the way back to Christmas again almost. Lego? In my pet store? It's more common than you would think. This was just weird to see here. Why would they be selling Legos at Petco? And it even says Petco on the Lego sign there. I guess this is a good time to plug my second channel though, since the most recent video on there is exploring a Lego software demo CD from 2001. Earlier in the video I had talked a little bit about Petco's logo, and specifically the cat and dog in the logo, which is Blue Muse the cat and Red Ruff the dog. Well, I'm sad to say, in 2020, Petco removed them from their logo and went from a classic logo that everybody recognizes to just navy blue lettering that says Petco. What an awful choice, and I don't understand all of these companies that are moving to this flat design from their logos and moving away from colorful and easily recognizable and nostalgic logos. They should worry more about their pet stores starting to have liminal space vibes. Both of these locations in this video were filmed during the weekend, and while I don't ever remember being in a busy Petco, I was really surprised by how few people were in here. But hey, that means I just get the free zoo mostly to myself. The mice are always fun to watch. For the most part, I've always had cats and dogs and fish as pets, so it is always nice to see all these other little critters. Probably the strangest pet I ever had was, for a few years, I had a pet hedgehog. And I would say I definitely do not recommend them as pets. They are a lot of upkeep. Here's another little guy with little grabby hands. And then we've got another one just hanging out here in his house. All of the live animals in here though isn't helping this place feel any less dead. There are actually some critters in here that are making it feel more dead. All throughout this store you could hear the sound of crickets, and that's because of these giant garbage cans full of crickets. They're marked large, medium, and small. And you can hear this across most of the store. I really do think that Petco is going to have a hard time contending with that almost $3 billion in debt they have when it's obvious that their business is starting to contract. One of their problems is that they do have too many locations, but another big issue is just competition, and it's not just places like Amazon and the internet. I was at Walmart recently and went to go pick up some dog food, and the pet section inside some Walmarts now is like half the size of a Petco. And of course, everything is cheaper there than it is here. Here's another free zoo exhibit. We've got some lizards over here like bearded dragons. They are really cute. And here's a snake. Now, I never had a snake, but I have had several friends over the years that have had pet snakes. Snakes are neat, but neat as other people's pets. I don't think I would ever own one. I have been considering getting an aquarium, though. I haven't had one for a lot of years, and I kind of miss having one. Although I'm not going to be getting one this big. But those fish really are beautiful. And over here are some of the biggest goldfish I've ever seen. Are these koi technically? Those are really pretty also. The turtles. Now, I did have a turtle when I was a little kid, but I don't think I would ever own one again. I just remember the aquarium smelling really bad pretty much all the time. I love that the turtle came to check the camera out. Most of the animals in here either act indifferent towards having a camera pointed at them, or they act kind of scared of it and kind of run away from it. That poor turtle in the back doesn't seem to understand that background isn't real. Here's some saltwater fish. I don't think they had any saltwater aquariums at the first Petco we looked at. These guys were kind of hard to get good footage of because they just move around so much. I do love looking at the fish. I think the aquariums might be my favorite parts of pet stores. I think at this point, Petco's future is pretty uncertain. $3 billion in debt is a lot for a pet store to be carrying when they're in the process of having to close stores and shrink their footprint. There's also a lot of uncertainty in the economy right now. Things just really aren't going great in a lot of different areas of the economy, and people are looking to save every dollar that they can save. I mentioned earlier that I bought my dog food at Walmart. They do carry the dog food that I feed my dogs here. It's the Fresh Pet brand, but it is literally half the price at Walmart compared to here. It's also about half the price at Target, and they've been expanding their pet area as well. I don't visit Petco nearly as much as I used to, but I do always enjoy my visit, although mostly because of the free zoo aspect of it. But this is where we're going to wrap up this trip to the free zoo. What are your thoughts on Petco? Do you shop here regularly, or are you more of a pick pet items up at Walmart and Target kind of person? I'd love to know down in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Want to see your name here? Head on over to patreon.com/Retail Archaeology to find out how you can help support the channel. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my video on Petco. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also make sure to follow at the social media links down there because that's the best way to keep up with what's going on with the channel.